Good afternoon, everybody. So, as many of you know, I have been on a little bit of a journey since the beginning of January. And in that time, I've driven almost 5,000 miles and gone across 22 states. And I now find myself in Sedona, Arizona. And here I will be for the next few weeks. And I'm not exactly sure what's happening after that, but the reason for this journey was kind of a mental health thing in a way, kind of a opportunity for some self-reflection, self-discovery, and just working on some issues and challenges and obstacles that I've carried with me for a long time. And I wanted to take a little bit to reflect on this journey, not so much the physical journey of going across all those states, but the kind of the mental and emotional journey that has brought me to where I am today. But before I dive too much into that, I just want to give you guys a quick little sneak peek at my view here from the balcony. As you can see, this place is absolutely gorgeous. All right, let's pull up my notes here. So I've carried I don't necessarily want to call them emotional issues, but I've carried emotional burden with me for a long time that I have given power to, that has made life challenging at times and has put me into the role and feeling of being kind of victimized by life and people a lot of times, not like in a really bad way, but just more kind of a sense of not ever feeling in control of my life and my relationships. And that kind of really came to a head last year, and I just got so tired of being in the same patterns again and again. And it's funny, it's actually taken me a few months of working on this and exploring this to really kind of see what my problem was. But essentially, for most of my life, I've had this feeling and this sense that has kind of governed the way that I show up in all of my relationships, both personal and professional. And basically that feeling is that I don't have any intrinsic value as a man, as a human, and that my only value is what I can do for people, what I bring to the table. And what this does is it creates a dynamic where I can get close to people very quickly because I'm very good at identifying spaces that I can occupy to provide value to their life, whether it's attention, entertainment, someone to listen, whatever it is. And in a lot of ways, this is great because it allows me to connect with people one-on-one on a deep level pretty quickly. But what happens is the undertone and the kind of the foundational motivation there is that I have to try to identify what's lacking and try to be the provider for those things. And the immediate reward typically for me is getting a lot of affirmation and attention from the people that I'm providing that service for. But what begins to happen over time is I keep feeling like I need to give more and more because I've set a foundational dynamic in these connections of me providing a service, of me filling a role. And after a time, I get the feeling that that isn't enough and that it's not sustainable for me to fill that role 100% of the time. And then when there are periods where I'm unable to fill that role and I'm not getting that affirmation and attention from those connections anymore, then it makes me feel very cynical, like my only worth is from filling those roles, that I have no value outside of providing those services to people. And that ultimately ends up being the demise of a lot of my connections. And I didn't really see that for what it was last year or at all in my life, but I can see it a little more clearly now. But I just wanted to read a little bit out of my journal from last year just to kind of help set the scene of the real dark side of that mental state and what kind of led me to recognize that I had a problem and that I needed to work on it, and that led me to actually reach out and get help from someone and start working with a life coach on this. So let me open my journal here and we'll check it out. All right, here's the first one. Angry yet cold. My heart and feelings are once again encased in stone. I've been proven that stepping outside of my role is not an option. I'm not allowed to show even the slightest negative emotion or want anything or need anything. My role is to give attention when it's asked for, to listen but offer no opinion, to mirror only the positive, and pretend that nothing else exists. Be anything but human. Moving on from there. John, know your role. Occasional attention provider, listener, that's all. Stop wasting time thinking that anyone is interested in the real you. Stop thinking that anyone cares about your feelings in any context except for how it affects them. Nobody gives a fuck about anything except what they want from you and what you can give them. And no one has patience for or interest in your wants. So just fucking forget about it all. Turn into a fucking wantless, needless robot and never let anyone really see you. No one really wants a nice guy. They say they like it, but they don't. The more you care, the less they do. Never forget that. You are weak, you are pathetic. People only like strong, and nothing is stronger than not giving a fuck. If only I could stop giving them. John, you're weak, just give up. You're never going to get what you want. Accept it and move on. Accept it. Don't allow yourself to be fooled. It's only a matter of time before some false sense of security may be restored to you. But don't feel secure. Don't ever let your guard down. Don't trust anyone with your feelings, with your weak heart. Stop playing stupid fantasies and scenarios in your head. It can be very melodramatic sometimes. Never forget who you are, John. Stop wishful thinking and start actually listening to the common themes that keep coming up in your life. I'm not even sure what to write anymore. I'm teetering on the edge of elation and insanity. What does it feel like to be someone's number one, to be someone's priority, to be on their mind for more than just me satisfying their fleeting cravings? God, I wish I could just not give a fuck. My heart is exhausted. God, I feel so pathetically needy. John, stop being a little bitch. I don't know how it's possible to feel both empty and heavy at the same time, but that's exactly how I feel. I wish I wasn't so emotionally pathetic. I'm just a giant fucking baby. I wish I could be the robot now. Why can't I turn my heart off? You get the picture. I was in a very dark place. And as you can see from those journal entries, I was feeling like I was worthless other than being this certain version of myself, and only when that was needed by my connections. So when I first decided to reach out and get some help, find someone to talk to about this stuff, I had this vision that there's a part of me that is super funny, entertaining, quick-witted, confident, bordering even on arrogant at times, and just totally unafraid. And I've seen time and time again in my life how people respond to this part, and it's typically very positive. And that's when I tend to get the most attention and affirmation from people, is when that part of me is active. So when I very first started receiving help from a life coach, I had a vision of basically learning how to shut off the parts of me that are pensive, that are introverted, that are thoughtful, that are cynical, that are insecure, and that I could just basically kill that part of myself and just be the other part all the time, and that was going to make me happy because everyone loves that John, and then everyone would love me all the time, and it would be great. But as this process has evolved, as I've been introduced to tools for introspection, as I've had some really deep inward-looking conversations, and as just time has passed and I've gone on this journey and taken myself out of routine and comfort zone and kind of destabilized my life in a little bit of a sense, I can see that all of those parts are me, and that it isn't really about anyone loving all those parts or loving the dark parts or receiving affirmation and attention all the time. What was happening was I was rejecting parts of myself and just feeling like they were inherently bad or wrong, and that I shouldn't have those thoughts, shouldn't have those feelings. And what has happened over time is, and with the help of my coach, is I've come to realize that all of those parts are me, and that none of them can really exist without the other, and that perhaps the contrast and the existence of all those parts is what makes my favorite parts even possible to begin with. So I've learned that if I'm all of a sudden feeling introverted or feeling thoughtful, feeling pensive, feeling anything other than, super engaged and excited and entertaining, that is okay, and that I'm allowed to take time to not be filling a role for someone and just go be thoughtful, go be alone, whatever I need to do. But basically, the spirit is honoring those parts rather than just condemning them. And that's been very rewarding and has given me a lot more peace and happiness and self-acceptance. So when I started this big road trip journey that I'm on, I had a mission to basically find myself and find happiness, and to even figure out what that means and what that looks like. And I was in a conversation with my coach, and I recalled this hike that I went on with my mom years ago at Ravencliff Falls in Georgia. And I was having just kind of a dark day, feeling very down, feeling very introverted and quiet, and just kind of just generally negative and depressed. And we went on this long hike, and at the end of this hike, we were at the bottom of this waterfall, and I went up to the side of it, and I saw this kind of a tunnel that slanted up very steeply, that was covered in vines and crazy stuff. And I was just all of a sudden possessed with the need to climb through this tunnel and get to the top of the waterfall. And there's kind of like this symbolic transformation that happened where one John entered that tunnel and climbed and fought his way to the top, and another emerged. And the feeling I had on the other end of that, standing on top of that waterfall, was just a feeling of just letting go and of engagement with the moment and living outside of my head, not just in it. And so when I started this journey, I was basically chasing that feeling, and I felt that by taking away my routine and taking away my comfort zone, that maybe if I was lucky, I would frequently encounter moments of that feeling, just by going out and adventuring and doing whatever. And it's very interesting because something that happened about halfway through this trip, after I had stayed already in several different hotel rooms, tents and campgrounds, staying with friends and family, is that I started to feel at home everywhere I went. And it was almost like a feeling of comfort and ease and relaxation that is completely built on an internal framework and is completely independent of where I physically find myself. And that really was an incredible feeling of just, basically, I somehow created peace within myself. And it really just kind of opened me up to do what I wanted, which is to engage with what's around me and to be peaceful, to honor being alone when I need to be alone, and to really be able to enjoy spending time with people I care about when those opportunities are present. And so now I find myself sitting on this balcony in Sedona, looking at this incredible view. And I still have my moments where I just need to go into my room and put on some emo music and just let myself be awash in dark feelings. But I'm not trying to fight that anymore when that happens. I'm just letting it run its course. And by not fighting it, it's over much sooner. And then it's allowing me to really show up how I want to show up when I'm engaging with people. And I'm very excited now because all of a sudden I feel like I've kind of made it to where I wanted to get with my mental journey. And now it's just the possibilities are endless and limitless, and I can't wait to see what's next. So I've taken a lot of videos along the way, and I do have a YouTube channel that I started where I've been cataloging some of those adventures, and there's a lot more videos that I want to make that have happened between my last one and this current one. But I've been allowing myself to just engage with my experience and my journey, and not feel so pressured to stop doing what I wanted to do and make those videos, and to just enjoy and experience what I'm doing. And but I felt like this was a good time to have a little retrospective and look back through my journal and kind of look back and reflect on the journey that has brought me to where I am today, both physically and mentally. I think I'm going to go on a hike. I'll see you guys later.